All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night to all my beautiful people tuning in to me today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day or night or whatever it is to come tune in with your boy. I really appreciate all the love and support I've been getting recently. We just hit like 40 subs, something like that, 41 or something like that, and that's super awesome. I really appreciate every single person that has seen or liked or commented every video that I've posted so far. This is a little passion project I'm doing on the side. Right now, I literally still have my work shirt on. I just got off of work not too long ago, and I've been getting a bunch of cool stuff that I want to show you guys, of course. And yeah, before I get too much rambling going on, I just really wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Really appreciate it, for real, for real. Like you guys are really keeping me grounded, making sure that I'm consistently doing something that I'm uncomfortable with but want to do. And I'm not saying this is uncomfortable, but it's just something new that I haven't done, so I really appreciate everything. And yeah, before anything, let's do the first album. So the first album was something that when I was growing up, I thought it was super cool because this young gentleman, his name is 21 Savage, as his street name goes, and I think it's super awesome that he's able to do such great things when it comes to music. This is his second album. His debut album was actually really good, but I think this one kind of solidified his sound and kind of what we now know as 21 Savage. This is like his witty wordplay, his one-liners were really awesome, and this is also the album that got him Grammy nominated, and he actually won it with J. Cole on a lot. So I think it's really awesome that he was able to do that. I know that this was delayed multiple times back in the day. It's actually crazy how albums can get delayed and it stays in the memory of a lot of people who were around when it came to that specific album. And I think it's so crazy how 21 Savage was able to drop a lot of great songs with a lot of great features. And the cool thing is that when you look at the back, there actually is no specific feature list. Like when you listen to the album, that's something that I've came to appreciate more as time goes on, that when you listen to the song, sometimes not having the feature makes the feature a little more stand out-ish, if that's even a word, which it isn't, but it makes the feature stand out more in a sense where you're able to grasp it and appreciate it more because you're not expecting it at all. You're expecting just a solo song from the artist that you're listening to. And for example, my favorite song off this specific album was Can't Leave Without It, and Ball Without You, which Ball Without You was specific, just 21 Savage song. But Can't Live Without It had Gunna on it, and I think it's so awesome how back in the day Gunna was still delivering such great songs. I've already dropped a few vinyl record reviews here already for Gunna, and I just recently picked up his newest album, which just came out recently, which is a great album. So yeah, I think Atlanta has just been producing such great music and just great hip hop frontier revolutionaries who are like really pushing the envelope of what we identify as like great music and what can be said. So yeah, he's just super awesome. I really appreciated it. And I think it's really cool because on this specific album, there was a lot of Atlanta production when it came to like TM88 or Metro Boomin, or maybe when it came to like Wheezy. Like all these specific sounds cultivated this specific album to what it came to be and what we know it as. So I think it's awesome because when he was also debuting this album, he also did like a little art project exhibition, and it was like a motel scheme. And I think it's pretty cool because you could look at the interviews back in the day, and I think he already had an artistic vision for this, and it paved way into like his features and his songs that he's created in the span from this album till now. So I think it's super awesome. The next one I think is arguably one of the coolest cover arts when it comes to music. So I think it's really cool how Tame Impala, which is Kevin Parker basically, it's just him. He was able to create such a iconic album cover art. Like just this album by itself, just looking at the cover is iconic. A lot of people know one, if not two songs, I would say minimum, when it comes to this specific album. But I think it's so cool because the entire thing is trans translating a specific feeling, and I think it's really awesome how he was able to do a lot of great things when it came to the psychedelic. What did I write down? I wrote down a specific term for what I felt when this album came out. I wrote down that this album showed me a theme of personal transformation and navigating the challenges of change. So when I listen to this album, certain songs like The Less I Know the Better, or let's see, which other one? There's the last song, New Person, Same Old Mistakes, I would say really resonate the most with me. I would say I play those two the most off of this specific one. But for example, I have a coworker who really enjoys Let It Happen because of the buildup of the beat and what he's saying. So I think it's really awesome how a lot of different people can resonate with what Kevin Parker was trying to do with this specific album. And I think it's cool because I wrote down here as a fun fact. I didn't know this when I was looking into it. It stood out that this album was recorded in his home studio, which makes it even cooler to know that he was in like the presence of his own home. He was comfortable, which translates to the record so well because most of the time you're bumping this either outside having a good time or in your home trying to think of something. So I think it's really cool how he was able to touch both bases and multiple others, not only those, but those are the two that I resonate with the most because I'm either playing this album like for example at work or I'm playing this in the car or in my room, and I have the album of his above my bed. So I think it's really cool how I'm able to look at it and it transports me back to a specific time. I was just telling one of my friends this matter of fact that it's cool how songs and specific albums can actually transport you back, kind of like a time machine, to a specific moment or the first time that you listen to it. So I think it's really cool how most people are able to get certain attachments or certain ideas when it comes to different songs. So I think it's really cool. That's why I really appreciate albums that have came out that I've grown with and I've appreciated over the years. And I know a lot of you guys as well have resonated with them, and I really appreciate that you guys are letting me know which ones you guys like, which ones you guys don't like. So it's really cool getting to know each and every single one of you guys. I would say, what would I say? My favorite fun fact that I found out about this was that this was nominated for Album of the Year and Best Rock Album of the Year when it came to the ARIA, which is like a prestigious music accolade. So I think that's pretty cool that he was able to actually get like his flowers for the fruit of his labor. So I think that's really cool. And he's released certain other albums which I would say aren't my cup of tea, but that's not to say that they're not other people's cup of tea. I would say this one resonates more with me as a person just because of like the time frame that it was released in. But yeah, super great album. I would say this one has really paved the way for his features that he's done recently, such as like the first one that pops into my mind is Skeletons with Travis Scott. That was such a great song that he came out on, and I think it's super dope that he was able to do a lot of great contributions when it comes to like his mind and the way he looks at music and how he's able to contribute. So I think that's super awesome. The next one I got was probably my album of the year for the year that it came out, which is For Your Eyes Only. And I think this one means the most for me because J. Cole really wrote down and penned some of arguably I think his best raps when it comes to like a focused narrative. I know that KOD, a lot of people would argue that I just reviewed that record not too long ago, probably like a week or two ago, but I would say that that specific record was more oriented to like the mumble rap scene where he was trying to paint a message for that specific time. But I would say For Your Eyes Only was more towards, I mean, the message was towards his friend's daughter, who eventually, if she heard it, it was because his friend passed away. But I would say it was more so encapsulating a specific feeling that he was trying to capture for this specific body of work. So I would say a lot of the jazz influence that comes through this was phenomenal because it makes you feel a specific way. It's roomy, and then having, for example, change with Ari Lennox as the background vocals. It really teaches you a lot about what J. Cole was going through at that specific moment when he was writing this, because he always talks about wanting better for himself. And that specific song, I always lean back towards it because it's so cool how he's able to tell us that there's always going to be better days, even if at that specific moment you're not feeling it. So I think it's awesome how he was able to paint that, especially for the message that he was trying to give the younger daughter for his friend, that just like he says in the specific song at the end, For Your Eyes Only, which is the title track for the album, that's what it's called. I found it really touching how he's saying that I hope that you don't hear this, and I hope that I'm able to keep this stored away, like in a safe, like some valuable jewels. Like, I hope I never get to tell you this, and if you're hearing this, then that means sadly your father has passed away, like something has happened, and I wish it didn't happen, but it sadly did, just because of where he was raised or what he was doing when it came to his age or how he grew up. So you can't fault somebody for their circumstances when it comes to their upbringing, but I will say that he is teaching a lot when it comes to his specific side of like where he grew up or his specific perspective. So I think it's really cool how he was able to do such a great thing for this album. I wrote down some cool little things. I would say that this album is heavily inspired by political and social climate at the time of this record, which, when was this? This was released in 2016, so this was right around the time when the presidency was shifting from Obama to the new president that we had at that time. So I would say it's really crazy how he was able to do no features except that Ari Lennox background vocal, and he was still able to paint a brushstroke that was wide enough to cover various bases when it comes to the political climate, like we were speaking about earlier. So I think it's really cool how he's a storyteller, he's an orator trying to do great when it comes to his bodies of work. So he did really good on this one. I would say my standout tracks for this one would be Change, and I think Neighbors resonates really cool with me, just because the neighbors think he's selling dope just because of the fact that he looks and he's hanging out with friends that kind of look like him. So I resonate with that because it happens to a lot of minorities where you may just be hanging out somewhere and you're just trying to do good, but you just get painted as something that a stereotype was painted for that other person, and then that's how they address you. So I think it's really crazy how he's able to speak so broadly to many topics. And we're continuing with J. Cole. This one is the off season. I actually have a little backboard of his up there. I really appreciated this album because it was, man, what can I say? This was his first album that he released that had features. KOD didn't have features. I mean, if you accept the Kill Edward, which was him with like a pitched vocal, and just like we said, like Ari Lennox was background vocal. She wasn't really a formal feature, you could say, for the 2014 Forest Hills Drive. But I will say that, or no, not 2014 Forest Hills Drive. That was where he did his last one. So it was 2014 Forest Hills Drive. It was For Your Eyes Only and KOD. All of those were featureless or with some features depending on how people want to see it. This one was the one that was feature heavy. So I think that's pretty cool because the last time he did that was Born Sinner, I believe. And I wrote that down because I wanted to make sure that I didn't get this wrong. So yeah, J. Cole was actually 2013. So it took him 8 years in order for him to kind of like lose that tough skin where he was saying that he didn't want no features. And I would say such great songs were made off of this, and this is him just warming up or doing it like so he's not comfortable with where he's at and the peaks that he's reached. And I think that speaks a lot to a lot of people. When you become complacent, you need to be able to change and move forward. So I think it's really cool how he's able to make such great songs when it comes to, like, for example, Pride is the Devil was such a great song, Let Go of My Hand was such a great song, and Applying Pressure, I liked the build up when it came to like the first 3 tracks, and Applying Pressure was just like an alleviating point when it comes to him trying to speak about what's going on. So yeah, 100 Mil was such a great song as well because of the beat. Like, most of the times I'm really surprised how these guys are able to just go into the booth and kind of get a different sense of what they want to say, but it just kind of takes a fine tuning of how they're trying to paint the message or how they're trying to get the cadence or the melody. So I think it's really cool how he was able to maneuver his way into these different types of beats while being uncomfortable and trying to make something new that lasts. So I think it's really crazy. So yeah, he's really dope when it comes to having features. Like I said, it's been 8 years since he had a feature since his body work, so it was 2013 to 2021. So I think it's really cool how he was able to shift the perspective, the landscape or so, and he was able to get features such as like Little Baby or frequent collaborators such as like Boz, which he's always hanging out with and making records with. So I think it's really cool how J. Cole has been providing us with such great music. I know that the Kendrick Lamar drama that he had, where he stepped away and he said that he wished he never said that. I know that that kind of like tested his character, but at the end of the day, hindsight 2020 now, I'm thankful that he was able to do that because what happened with Drake and Kendrick was such a movie, and I think it would have kind of hurt his legacy and kind of tainted what we know about J. Cole. So yeah, I think whatever he wants to do artistically, he could keep going, and I think it's really dope how some artists are able to just maneuver and paint their own road that they want us to see. So all right, enough yapping. Sorry for that. The next one is probably mine and my friend's favorite. When I showed one of my close friends, he freaked out because this one, I think we both know that this is probably the craziest ASAP Rocky album he's ever released. This is the second album, and I think it's really dope how ASAP Rocky was able to. I think me and my friend both agreed that this had no skips. There's no skips on this album. I think his favorite, man, I don't remember what his favorite was. I will say that some of my favorites would be like Far Side, Wavy Bone. Every Day was such a banger off of this, and I love how it was executive produced by Yams right before he passed. So I think it's really cool how this was able to delve into that like psychedelic mind of ASAP Rocky. So this was right before he made Sundress, for example, but he released that music video for LSD. So I think it's really cool how you're able to see the way he's able to release visuals that match the aesthetic of what you're listening. So the auditory example of what you're listening will match exactly what the visuals that the artist wants you to see match. So I think it's really cool how maybe when he was recording it, he didn't know exactly what the video was going to look like, but I knew when I saw the video that he had an idea of this is the kind of push that he wanted to make towards it. So I think it's super cool how he's always been able to make certain songs or certain vibes when it comes to his artistic push, when it comes to like videography, cinematography, when it comes to his raps, his cadences, his flows. So I think it's really cool. One thing that I will note is that this album debuted at number one. I don't remember it debuting at number one, but it sold 139,000 units in the first week, which is crazy because anything above 100,000 is already major numbers. But for this to be Rocky's second album and for him to make such a stamp on the rap game, I think is super awesome. So shout out Rocky for releasing such a great body of work. I think this one has stood the test of time, and I would say this one is like on daily rotation when it comes to what I'm bumping. Man, there's so many great songs. I don't know if I could necessarily pick one song. Like if you were to put a gun to my head and say you have to pick one song, I would say my favorite, the one that I'm playing just to get me in a better mood, would probably be Wavy Bone. Wavy Bone is probably up there. Wavy Bone is really cool. And it's also cool how he was, I don't know if it was Canada or somewhere, but he was going around with his crew, and it just so happened that he was looking at a street performer, and that street performer ended up being Joe Fox. Joe Fox was a homeless street performer, and he ended up doing 5 contributions to this specific album, and it catapulted Joe Fox and ASAP Rocky into stardom when it comes to their collaborations, because I would say the songs that Joe Fox is on for this specific record, he not only makes the record, but he makes it better by being an addition of it. And it's cool how those wouldn't have came into fruition, those records I mean, those wouldn't have came into fruition when it comes to that specific body of work had he not have been walking down the specific street, you know. So I think it's cool how if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And yeah, like just Flacco being Flacco, doing what he does, super awesome. And I think it's cool how him and Rihanna are doing everything. I just recently saw that Rihanna just got taken a picture of in Beverly Hills when it comes to another baby for them, so I'm so happy for them. And I think that's super awesome how he's able to become a gentleman and a family man. So I think that's super dope. All right, the next album is going to be DS4 Ever, Dirty Sprite Forever. I would say I know it's not Dirty Sprite Forever, but that's the thing that comes into my head. I don't know why, but I would say that this is the last album that Gunna had a major help when it comes to a lot of people who are like well known in the industry. His latest album, for example, the last one, that's the name of it. It doesn't have as many features when it comes to catalog that a lot of people would resonate with. For example, he has like in the recent one, he has Burna Boy and he has Offset. I'm not saying that those aren't frequent collaborators of his because he has worked with that specific like reggae type of scene. But I will say that it's cool seeing Gunna transition from this specific album to the next one that we saw, which was, I believe, A Gift and a Curse. And then after that, he released the one that we know about, One of One, and then the last one. And I think those three specific albums were my albums of the year for the years of their release. So I think it was like 2022, 2024, 2025 for the recent one. I would say the newest one would be like top five for the newest albums for me. And the cool thing about this one is that some of the songs that he's on, he's really preaching about how he's been so far ahead and how he's trying to build empires on so far ahead. Empire, and the second to last track was such a great song. And I would say Living Wild was probably like my most played song off of this specific album. But songs such as like A Lot of Cake had a really good flow, and it's cool knowing that him and Metro, whenever they link up, they always do really good. So man, there's just movements such as like Push and P just solidified Gunna as a number one when it comes to releasing bangers. And it's not even necessarily summer music because it transcends summer and it goes into like a generational song, when it comes to songs such as like Push and P or Fuck You Mean or Top Off. Like those specific songs that Gunna's released have really changed the way people like listen to music or enjoy great songs. So I think it's really cool how he's able to still deliver great music and it doesn't look like he's slowing down. So yeah, me and my friend were saying that he's probably top five artist when it comes to consistency right now. I know that a lot of people are hating on Gunna when it comes to what's going on with the Young Thug situation, but I will say that it's super cool how Young Thug is able to still, I don't know if he's able to still say good things or bad things, but I will say that he's still able to maneuver his YSL label, and Gunna's able to depart without having to make such a big deal. He's able to release a stamp on the last great album that he's able to release with YSL, with the latest one that he dropped. So I think it's cool how contractually he just finished his last three and all three of them were better than the last one. So I can only imagine what the next one's going to be. So this one just showcases his growth. So I thought that was super cool. And the last one is going to be the one that probably means the most to me because this is their last and final album that they will ever create just because of the sad passing of Takeoff, R.I.P. The Rocket. I think it's really cool how they were able to release great songs off of this and they were able to leave their legacy behind with such a great send off. So I think certain songs off of this obviously stand out more than the others, but I just want to say that this specific body of work, I'm thankful and very blessed to be able to hold this specific thing because it's like regardless of where physical media goes, I know that this is going to be with me forever, and I know that digital media, I know that it could go away in any moment, but the fact that I'm able to hold this is super dope because all their hard work is in my hands literally. So I think it's super dope that he was able to partake in such a great push for music. So I think all three cultures are really great, but I don't know which one I would pick to be the best. Avalanche was a really great track. I can't believe that they started off the record with that, and just the music video alone was actually pretty cool. I like that they were on like suit and ties. They had like a little I don't know, like a little throwback vibe. It was dope seeing that. And I would say which one was my other one? I would say Time for Me was really good, and Need It was really good with Young Boy. I'm not a big Young Boy fan, but Need It with Young Boy was a crazy track, and I like their back and forth, Offset and Young Boy. Offset and Young Boy was just super cool, and how they were able to play homage to that specific movie back in the day. sipping orange juice in your hood or something like that. It's like a super crazy long name. I'm gonna remember the name and try to comment it because it was like a cool ass movie. It's super cool. He had the binky and stuff in his hair, but yeah, yeah, like man, shout out my boy Offset and everything when it comes to the Migos. But yeah, like I really wanna thank you guys for hearing me yap. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I got more stuff coming in. I already have some stuff that I have planned out. I've just been so busy with school, with work, but now that school's over, thankfully I'm able to put in more work on this, and I'm going to continue to do it. My goal is to have these out every 5 days, so mark your calendar, get it down. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Like, comment, subscribe, yada yada. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day slash night slash whenever you hear this, eh? Deuces. Take care, my peeps.